Here I am, about to interview one of the world's greatest businessmen, J.P. Morgan himself. He's so frightening. So tell me, Mr. Morgan, how do you come up about to banking and financing?
A man generally has two reasons for doing a thing. One that sounds good, and a real one.
So, what's the real one?
When you expect things to happen, surprisingly enough, they do happen.
What?
Fortune smiles on those who can act fast.
So how did you rescue the economy in the panics of 1893 and 1907?
No problem can be solved until it is reduced to some simple form. The changing of a vague difficulty into a specific, concrete form is a very essential element in thinking.
You've been under fire from people who want to shut down your banks and companies down. How are you going to handle it?
Well, I don't want a lawyer to tell me what I cannot do. I hire him to tell me how to do what I want to do.
How much would you say your banks are worth now?
If you have to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it.
Any advice to others who want to be as successful as you?
Go as far as you can see. When you get there, you'll be able to see farther.
Thank you for your time, Mr. Morgan. Do you mind if I take a picture?
What? No photos! This interview is over!
Quick! Back to the time machine box of history!
Is your company floundering?
Yes.
Are you realizing that you're not cut out for the business world?
Yes.
Are you getting tired of being stepped on by bigger companies?
Probably.
Well then, maybe it's time for you to Morganize! For a small price of $19.99, we will take over your business and turn it successful. You're in a bad situation? Don't try to capitalize. Morganize! Business is going slow? Don't waste time trying to revitalize. Just Morganize. But wait, there's more. If you call now, we even buy your company from you for $14.99 and send you a complimentary t-shirt and toy train. $1 million values, yours, all yours, for a small price of $19.99. It's time for you to Morganize. Call now.
For your Morganization kit, please call toll-free at 1-748-900-XYZ-1112 and get this possible $1 million value for a special price of $19.99. Shipping and handling not included. Morganization is not for everyone. Please consult your financial expert before doing anything stupid.
Good evening, and welcome to the 6 o'clock show. Today, our topic of the day is none other than J.P. Morgan. We're going to focus on his legacy, his impact on the world today, and discuss whether he is indeed an industrialist or a robber baron. Anyway, by far, Morgan is arguably the most successful, influential, and powerful banker and financier in American history. His impact is still definitely felt today, as many of his companies that he created are still in existence today, most notably Chase Bank and General Electric. He was succeeded by his son Jack, but he was not as successful and as powerful as his father. Those were some very big shoes to fill. And of course, he has the word Morganization, and even the gem Morganite named after him. Right, Joe?
What?
Anyway, is J.P. Morgan a robber baron? Well, a robber baron is someone who dominates an industry and amasses a personal fortune through unfair business practices. J.P. Morgan was ambitious by nature and really did have good intentions, but he did use his power and influence to consolidate industries to himself. Even though only one of his companies were broken up because it was identified as a monopoly, he definitely did own several other companies which can be considered very close to being monopolies. If they were not monopolies, that is. There seems to be a pattern where Morgan does seem to use his power and wealth to increase both aspects respectively, until it seemed that he owned all of America, if not the whole world. So, though he did earn his early power and wealth fairly, Morgan still did use both factors to give himself an unfair advantage in the business world, defining him as a robber baron. Still, he did a lot of good things for the world, such as saving America's butt twice, in the panics of 1893 and 1907. And donating a lot of money to charity. But still, once a robber baron, always a robber baron. Agreed?
What? Hi, Tim Wong.
I think it's time to go to break.
Why?
Well, that's the end of our show. Even though J.P. Morgan was only a banker, financier, and investor, he played his cards right and extended his power into the industrial world to a point where he practically owned everything. Even though he didn't have as much money as John Rockefeller, he definitely controlled much more and was probably the most significant robber baron America has ever seen. If you're wondering why there was no ripped-off song that had to do with Mr. Morgan, it's because this production crew has no musical talent whatsoever. Well, I'm off to see the first collegiate football game ever between Rutgers and Princeton. Off to the time machine box of history.